Get ready.
Hi, my name's Kaz Riley and welcome back to season 2 of Trancing in the Sheets. This is a show where we talk about all kinds of things. We've got everything to do with sex, hypnosis, erotic hypnosis, and everything in between. And on the last season, one of the most popular interviews that we did was with the wonderful and amazing Mark Wiseman. And I'm so happy that he's agreed to come back today to talk about the diversity of the erotic hypnosis community. As ever, we've got Mark's avatar rather than Mark's video, but here we go. So welcome, Mark, back to the show.
Thank you so much, Kaz. I love being back here. For no other reason than because you say such nice things.
I only say true things. I only say true things.
Oh, that's very sweet.
So obviously, you know, actually when this goes out, I think Charmed will be just about to happen, but that's coming up in January.
Yes.
But there's a great diversity of people that come to an event like Charmed and are in fact within the erotic hypnosis community. So tell us, what's your experience of the diversity within the erotic hypnosis community?
Well, it's interesting because there are these factions or these different segments. There's not one community. Everybody thinks they're in the community. Mm-hmm. You generally you're in one of these different little factions, and they ebb and flow. I mean, there is the con-going community, which for a lot of people that's the community, except it's just one little piece of the community. Maybe 500 people, maybe. We get about 350 or more every year at Charmed, but that's just it's small, but we all know each other. So for us, it feels like that's the community, and they've got their standards and rules of behavior, etc., and it's fairly well regulated. We get the occasional bad apple, and we get them out eventually. But then there's this whole other multiple segments of community. There's the people that come into erotic hypnosis through professional doms who listen to recordings from them or get to know them. Some of them get to know several. And they've got a different idea entirely of what erotic hypnosis is about, of what you use it for, of what a dominant is supposed to be like, what the submissive is supposed to do. And it's a completely different idea. And then you come over to the people who just trance online, who meet up in chat rooms, and in some of those chat rooms, like, all rules are gone. It's just whatever. And some, there are some definite rules about consent, and you kind of have to pick where you're going to go. There's, you know, text chat dominates because text is all, you know, it's always there. Some places will let you go voice. Occasionally you get video, but that's yet another group, and they're really fragmented because it almost goes from board to board to board. What's okay, what's not okay, and you really have to watch that. And then there's individual hypnotists, kind of a cult of personality thing, that have got their own groups, and they're very insular. They've got their people and they keep their people. And you know, there's a couple of them, they try to go out and do classes outside of cons to try and increase their group, and that's fine. Depending on who it is, some of them teach some very strange things. But you know, they're there and they've got their rules, and they don't mix with other people. And every once in a while, you run into somebody who comes into, say, the con-going community from one of those other pieces, and they're like, wait a minute, what do you mean you're supposed to get permission before you hypnotize somebody? Or wait, what do you mean they can say no after they've already given consent? And it's a relearning process. And it's interesting, and sometimes it leads to misunderstandings, and sometimes it leads them to go, wow, I wish I'd found out about this place sooner. You know?
Definitely. I think from people completely outside of any kind of erotic hypnosis community, when they look in, what do you think they see? Because you know, it's very obvious to people within it that there's different areas of it. It's a very diverse group, isn't it? It's a series of communities under one umbrella, essentially. What do you think people see when they're kind of looking in completely from the outside?
Honestly, I think they see what they're looking for.
Okay.
If somebody is like a gay male and they're looking desperately for, male masters or playmates or whatever, they're going to look and they're going to find, and they're going to see that. And they're not necessarily going to care about what's in it for trans people, what's in it for straight people, because that's their interest. And the neat thing about this is it's like you're looking in the abyss. Well, that's a bad term because it's like bad, but whatever you want looks back at you. So another trans guy would look in there and be looking at the trans parts of it and seeing, trans women, trans this, trans that. And they're not going to pay a lot of attention to the people that are cisgender or the people that are gay necessarily, unless they also match that. So it's really interesting in the way that the community, whatever piece of it you find, will reflect back at you only what you're looking for. And then as your interests broaden, you start to see more of it. Maybe you start to feel comfortable with the friends you met and the people you met, and then one of them says, "Yeah, we're going to Charmed next month." And you go, "Oh," and now suddenly you're into the con going thing. So do you see what I mean?
I do. I'm sat here wondering as well. I wonder what people who aren't necessarily looking, but they discover that there's this thing called erotic hypnosis, who may be, are kind of outside of any of those things, and they've just heard about this term. I don't know. Maybe they don't even have an interest in hypnosis. I wonder what their perception of what that is and what that means.
A lot of those people land in MC stories because it's such a huge thing and it's got so many stories on it, and it's not all hypnosis. You could be looking for mind control, you could be looking for bimbo, you could robot, whatever. A lot of people land there first. And then it depends, they read stuff, and what they read becomes their perception of what erotic hypnosis is. Or even more broadly, just what mind control is.
Sorry, Matt, said it again. I interrupted you.
That's okay.
What did you say? I didn't hear.
I would say whatever they run into, that becomes their view of what either hypnosis or mind control or whatever is. And I mean, there's a lot of non-consensual stuff on there. There's a lot of really scary stuff. There's a lot of really crappily written stuff. But it's all there. I mean, that's both the glory and kind of the bane of MC stories is Simon does not edit. So it's out there the way that people put it. And some people could barely put a sentence together, but they've got ideas, and this is an audience for them. Other people really pay a lot of attention to how they put together a story, and they tend to get fans, and they tend to be the ones that are, in the forefront of this. And say, oh, I want to have experiences like, Artie writes about, or I want to have experiences like Wiseguy writes about, or whoever. And it's fun. So a lot depends on which authors they fall into.
I guess as well, especially with something like MC stories, is that, some of it is based on people's experiences, and others is obviously pure and utter fantasy.
Yes.
How do you think, when hypnosis is surrounded in such mystery anyway, isn't it, for a lot of people still? How do they go about sorting through that? Or do you think that's some of the things that, as a community, the erotic hypnosis helps people to kind of sort out what could happen and what's in fact fantasy, and what is hypnosis that just allows somebody to experience a fantasy?
It's interesting. That's actually one question that I get asked fairly often in email, is people will email me and say, hey, I just read this story of yours, which, I wrote years and years and years ago. Is that real? Or could I really do that? and we'll have a conversation about it. Of course, I tend to fly down close to reality, so a lot of the stories are really adaptable, and some of them are just purely fantasy. Jukebox is another one, where some of his stories are absolutely, they could be transcripts of sessions he's done, and others are more imaginative. But there's always that grain in there of, well, this could really be done. And I think half the fun of going through MC stories sometimes is looking for those grains of, oh, that's a real thing. That's a real thing. Okay, that's fantasy, but ooh, I could do that. I may have taken the occasional scene idea from an MC story.
So I guess even though, fragmented isn't the right word, I think, but there are segments, I think, of the erotic community.
Yeah, and each segment is perfectly fine, and they're fine on their own.
And some touch others and others don't. I think that.
Yeah, and that's such an attribute of the segment too.
Yeah.
Some of them do. They and a lot of people in, maybe that play primarily online find out about cons and become part of the con growing community. Or some people learn that there's a local group and they go to their local play group, but they don't have time or money or whatever to try going to cons, so they never make that section, but they've got their local group and they're in good shape.
Yeah. No,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I think, sometimes one leads to the other. I know, as a clinical hypnotherapist, I get people that have been in the pro-dom community, for example, that I've discovered hypnosis for one thing. I've realized that they're kind of, that they like hypnosis, and then end up, in my office for, stop smoking or a libido issue or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And, that it connects back into that. I tend to look at hypnosis as one big umbrella for many, many segments, which, is everything from mindfulness and meditations probably in there as well, right the way through to, kind of professional clinical hypnosis, professional erotic hypnosis, recreational hypnosis, stage hypnosis, all of which I think can learn a lot from each other because everybody's doing things differently.
Yes. See, I tend to think of it as a bunch of different umbrellas, but yeah, and there is a lot of crossover between them. I've been reading a lot on mindfulness and applications of mindfulness lately because I've been working with Richard Ongard and retooling my professional class to go along ICB-CH lines instead of NGH. And there's a lot of mindfulness and contextual psychology in there. So it's like, ooh, this is like a new playground.
Yeah, he's a great teacher, Richard, as well, isn't he? He's absolutely superb. He did an amazing keynote at the Mid-America Hypnosis Conference that I was at earlier this year. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yay!
So I'm not sure. Oh, well, it's one of the. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we are all hypnotists, whatever, and some people wear various different hypnotic hats according to what aspects of their life they're in as well, which I think is really cool because we know that to be a great hypnotist, you have to live hypnotically. That doesn't mean that you have to do erotic hypnosis, but it might be that you're a hypnotic parent or you're, a hypnotic whatever, isn't it? That the diversity actually goes much further than just the erotic hypnosis community. I think it's just hypnosis in general.
Definitely.
So I know obviously you are the author of definitely the most comprehensive and famous book on erotic hypnosis. I know you kind of shy away from that, but it's true.
Just a dude.
And that's within the clinical world as well. That's the in fact I can see it just down here because I refer to it quite often to pick up ideas. I know one of your techniques that was in your book actually we adapted and put in the sexual freedom hypnosis curriculum. So there is a crossover. You and I are living proof of people working together that way. But I know you've got some stuff coming up, but you were telling me earlier that you're kind of changing your ethos. I know you're writing some stuff, but we're not saying what. but you're looking at doing it in a slightly different way, aren't you?
I am. What I'm finding, and this is largely Richard's advice too, is that putting out a Toma, a huge thing every couple of years, is a way of doing it, but it's not necessarily the way that serves people the best. So I'm going to try a different approach. I'm going to take one topic. I'm going to write on just that topic and basically produce what would be a chapter in like the old mind play or the study guide, but then put that out by itself, make it a lot cheaper, and that way people can pick up the things that they're interested in. They don't have to get the other stuff that they're not interested in, at the same time. And I'm probably going to do audiobooks of those too, because audiobooks are a big thing. I didn't realize how big a thing they were.
Oh, I mean, definitely not just. I mean, I'm severely dyslexic, so audiobooks are an absolute lifesaver for me. Plus, I'm also a working mum of two, so I can listen whilst I do other things. But I think for a lot of people, life's like that, isn't it? And you can listen while you're driving, for example, or just kind of doing other things, isn't it? We're in a world where we multitask, and actually, I think often, especially, I'm assuming you're going to narrate these, but I think
I will, because I can't afford to pay a narrator.
Well, it's your voice we want to hear, Mark. In fairness, it's what we would want to hear, but I guess with that, isn't it? It's that you can hear all the intonations, inflections, the strength of different words. You can hear how somebody's saying it rather than just writing it, which it allows better understanding, I think.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, actually. Sometimes just the way I intone things, you can pick it up instantly if you can hear it. And it's hard to do that in text because you only have, you have bold and italic, and that's about it.
Well, we know as well, don't we? I mean, the amount of just in text messages, so not books text, but text messages, the amount of arguments that have just been simply down to somebody misinterpreting the tone. So actually, I guess that does books, doesn't it? In terms of, at least with an audio book, that people are hearing it exactly as you want to express it, which actually as an author is a big thing. I hadn't thought about this till now. It's just popped into my head.
Oh, man. See, this is good.
Yeah, so my new book's now going to be audiobooks as well. So, yeah, and absolutely. It's that thing, isn't it? I think. So as you move forwards with your teaching and your books and all that stuff now, how, have you got any other kind of projects that are kind of going on?
Well, my big project right now is Charmed. We're getting, because right now as we record this, it's late November. So we're, I've already got the schedule out, or at least a draft schedule out. The deadline for evening events is coming up, and then I'm going to have to get those together. We're in crunch time. So that's the big thing that I'm working on right now until January.
Okay.
Then
hopefully have a little rest.
A little rest, and then I'll be at the Fetish Fair Flea.
Cool.
That'll be doing my thing, hypnotizing people and teaching classes and having fun with that. That'll be cool. And then Nihu in March, which is a hotel con this year for the first time. So that'll be fun. And I know I'm going to Entranced in June. Probably doing Heart of Texas. We're talking with somebody in the UK, or not the UK, but I'm talking with somebody about maybe coming over and doing a class in either Belgium or the Netherlands, which I'll let you know if I'm coming to Europe, because that would be fun. And I have not actually been to Europe before.
Oh, well, definitely. I'll have to meet you and show you around then.
Yeah, well, hell, I mean, until a year or two ago, I hadn't even left the U.S. Now I can at least say I've been to Canada. But I know my wife has been to Europe, so she's like, yes, yes, yes.
Cool.
So that's kind of what's on the horizon.
So you've got lots on there. Well, sadly, again, we've run out of time, so we're going to have to do this again at some point. You do.
Okay.
But thanks ever so much for coming back on and chatting with us. And as soon as you've got those books, let me know, and we'll get the links out to anybody here, especially audiobooks. That would be amazing. I mean, Mark Wiseman's voice in audiobook teaching about hypnosis. How wonderful!
Now that'd be one that'd be hard to listen to while driving.
Very true, very true. So if you're enjoying this episode of Trancing in the Sheets, then tune in for more. Part of the Hypnosis 24/7 Live Network. We've got new hosts on board this season as well. So don't forget to check out those shows. You can contact me anywhere, really, at Trancing Sheets. So at Trancing Sheets, we've got Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. There's also the YouTube channel now, which is Trancing in the Sheets. So we've got some other different content that's not directly on the network. And you just drop me a line to any of those. Any questions that you've got, any ideas, any people that you think I should be talking to, just let me know. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Get ready.